Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi. Amma ba'du. I greet my students, guests, listeners. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our Ramadan Morning Session. This is our session number 10. We missed one day. And we're going to be looking at chapter 2, verse 31. Continuing with the theme. This is another theme we will continue with, dealing with Adam. And we're looking at Quranic Arabic translation, reflection. Then we're looking at Balagha, rhetorical eloquence. And today we will look at the branch called Ilm al-Ma'ani, the science of meanings. And then tomorrow, we said we will look at Ilm al-Bayan of the same verse. See what we can see in Ilm al-Bayan. So let's get started. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa allama. And he taught Adam, al-asma'a, the names, kullaha, all of them. Thumma aradahum, then he showed them, exposed them, ala, to al-malaikati. If we say he exposed them upon, showed them upon the angels. Upon the angels? Like putting the names, showing these names upon the angel? Or showing these names to the angels? فَقَالَ, then he said, أَنْبِئُونِي, inform me, بِأَسْمَاءِ, of the names, هَؤُلَاهِ, these. In kuntum, if you were, if you are, sadiqeen, speaking the truth. Okay? In the reflection, he granted all the sciences to Adam. This moral creature, Adam, this moral creature. Then he revealed their manifestations to the angelic forces in nature, saying, outline the significant benefits of these sciences that will foster knowledge and strengthen faith if you truly speak the truth. This is the dialogue going between Allah and the angels in this imagery that is taking place in a spiritual existence, we could say. Existential ontology. Maybe it would be called in the schools of philosophy. We'll put it together. So in the ilmul ma'ani, well, let's go back and outline the phrases. Let's outline the phrases so you can see the phrases. Some of you, this may be something you may want to concentrate on. You may not be able to take in all of the various nomenclature of ma'ani. So you may want to decide what is it that you want to study out of this. Maybe you want to come away within the month being able to recognize phrases. Because when you read, you want to be able to see phrases and connect phrases. This is what we're doing. If you notice with al-ma'ani, we're connecting the phrases. So, and you may want to look at the various functions of particles. The different functions of particles. You have the grammatical function, the grammatical place, then the function. You may want to study the function of things instead of trying to maybe grasp and take it all in at one time. And because it's on recording, you can go back and just take a look for certain things that you want to concentrate on. So, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. That's the phrase. That's the phrase. You got a verb that starts the phrase. You got an object of the verb. You got a second object of the verb. And then you have a tawkid. Yes. ثم then أرادهم على الملائكة. That's a phrase. فقال, then he said. So he put that colon here. It's going to tell us what he said. And this becomes a phrase. أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء. That's the phrase. In kuntum sadiqin. That's the phrase. So you have the phrases here. You want to connect the phrases. Connect the phrases. As you read a phrase. Read the second phrase. Reflect back. Read the third phrase. Reflect back. Read the next phrase. Reflect back. Then try to hold the whole verse in your head. Take it phrase by phrase. Now, for those who want to, at the beginners, who doesn't read fast, you take your time and read in the prayer. Read the Quran in the prayer. There's ways now the Quran is on your phone, it's on tablets. You can read the Quran in the prayer. The first rakat, the second rakat, read the Quran in the prayer. Read the Quran in the Taraweeh prayer. Read the Quran in the prayer. If you're out in a masjid or something and you don't want to create someone looking or attention, then don't do it. Do it at home. Most of our prayers should be done at home, not in the masjid. The way our life and communities are structured. So read the Quran. Now, if you're at the beginning, you can make this. Let me get rid of some of the joy. Now, You can make this your first rakat, number 1. Then in the second rakat, read number 2. You have it marked. Then when you come back to the next prayer, read number 3 in the first rakat, read number 4. Keep it in order. Keep the Quran in order as you're reading until you have read the whole Quran in the prayer by next Ramadan. During Ramadan, you want to read the whole Quran during the month of Ramadan. Then from Ramadan to the next Ramadan, you would have read the whole Quran in the prayer. Establish a discipline until you're reading the whole Quran in the prayer during the month of Ramadan. If you're not reading the whole Quran in Taraweeh, which may be highly disciplined for you to do, you're not well disciplined to do it, then read it also in the prayer. By the end of the day, including Taraweeh, you would have read 1/30. But take it piece, read as much as you can. That's what the Quran is saying. Read what you can. If you can only read a phrase, read a phrase. Go into the rakat, read the next phrase. Start there. And start reading the Quran in the prayer. You can do it that way. Now, in this phrase, the first phrase, let's analyze the first phrase. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. The opening with wa. This opening with the wa continues the earlier scene and is an example of coordinating wow. The coordinating wow will atfi. Wow will atfi. Coordinating or conjunction. The conjunction. Atfun is conjunction. But now we're looking at its function. Let's look at the function. Wow atfi. Li taratibi, for this is for the sequencing. Al-dhikri, for the narrative sequencing. For dhikri, you see dhikri, for the remembering, the remembrance, the sequential remembrance. Because we started out with if in this thing. If. Go back and take a look at if grammatically. So this is the coordinating wow, we're saying, the coordinating wow, or the wow of coordination, or the wow of conjunction for narrative sequencing. So now this wow here is introducing this verse as a sequence to the previous verse. In this movie, this theme, this imagery that we're presenting, that's being presented. Make the picture. You're looking at the picture. And there are certain characters in this picture, in this theater, in this theatrical event that's taking place in a spiritual domain. Not in a physical domain, but in a spiritual domain. This is taking place. Showing this event as the direct unfolding of the prior divine statement, I know. I know what you do not know. So it's in sequence to that phrase that came before this phrase. So in knowing, allama, allama, I know, allama, I know, a'lamu, a'lamu, I know, ta'lamuna, you know, la ta'lamuna, you know not. So allama is continuing. It's continuing with this idea of knowing, but this knowing is like knowing something that we call the sciences. Ilmul ma'ani, the science, the knowing of meanings. The verb allama now denotes transferring knowledge. Allama is transferring knowledge. We would say teach. It's not, we say, not khatib, not khataba, like you're making an address. This is allama. It's different. Some people, we may use teaching for both. Like you give a lecture, you're making an address. We have motivational speakers. They come and they speak. They are not allama. They may not be teaching, meaning to cause someone to know. This idea of knowing, allama, knowledge. You're teaching the sciences that you, as a science, and you're causing your audience to know, like we're doing now. This is allama. This is ta'lim. Ta'lim is the internal noun of allama, because I'm teaching to cause you to know, comprehend, and know. Not just teaching, giving a lecture, whether you know or not. Now, even though it's a lot of information that's coming at you, then let's take your time, study the particles maybe, look at phrases, so that you will know like a scientist. So here, we're studying the Quran as a science, not as, let's say, not as a habitual ritual that we may perform. No, this is the science. We're studying as a science, a universal science in the study of the Quran. Regardless of your claim to a sect, we're studying this as a universal science that we all should study, regardless to what group identity you may carry. So this is allama, transferring knowledge. So that's alima in form 2. It's intensive because through repetition. That's how we're causing you to know. It's intensive through repetition, repeated. That's where the intensity comes in form 2. It's done repeatedly. So there's a time element. It's not done just once. Every day during the month of Ramadan, we're going to study al-Ma'ani. We're going to study al-Bayan. And we keep doing it. And through the process of reciprocity, not reciprocity, through repetitiveness, you're going to learn. Others may be teaching, but we don't use the term allama. We don't use the term ta'lim. Like Jumu'ah is not a ta'lim. You say, I'm teaching, and I'm teaching, yes, but it's not ta'lim. You're not teaching as a science for them to know. Maybe they will know, maybe they will learn, maybe they will not learn. When it comes to ta'lim, I'm going to check to see if you're learning, because this is ta'lim. Yes. And after this presentation, we have questions and discussions on what has been presented to indicate so that you are able to learn, or to indicate to me that you are learning, since I am the teacher. So, allama, past tense, he taught, he transferred knowledge with intensity through repetition and causation, causing to learn. Ta'lim is what the thing is called, ta'lim. And the mu'allim is called the teacher. Mu'allim, he's the teacher. So don't take Arabic and then get so fascinated by it and make it something that's magical and out of this world. No, the mu'allim is the one who teaches, but he teaches the science. So it's transferring knowledge. The verb pattern allama is transferring knowledge to one who did not have it. Ta'diyatu al-ilmi, the transferring of knowledge. Ila al-majhuli, to someone who did not have the knowledge, who's ignorant of the knowledge. Majhul. There's a we could say a period of time. A period of time that a whole group was majhul. We did not know this Quran or anything about it. We were majhul. They call it the days of Jahiliyyah. Jahalah. Days of Jahiliyyah. Days of ignorance. Majhul. So the mu'allim comes and teaches those who are majhul. The mu'allim. Because we all have in us, because we're the children of Adam, the potential to learn, to know. You can't be like the angels and say they can't know, because there's a part of this created creature that even we can't say that creature cannot learn. Emphasizing that Adam's knowledge is a bestowed gift, bestowed gift upon him by the Creator, the one who created him. Is not an innate rival to divine knowledge. Yes. It's a bestowed gift. Science is not a rival to divine knowledge. We need to understand that. The object, so when we say teaching the Quran as a science, speaking like that, understand science is not a rival. The object, al-asma, names, is made definite with the alif lam. then reinforced with kullaha. This gives the tawqid, which is ta'kidu. Ta'kid. Tawqid or ta'kid. Bilkulliyah. Bilkulliyah, showing or with universality. Okay, let's go take a look. When we say Allama Adama, he taught Adam al-asma'a. Al-asma'a, we already said he taught Adam the names, all of the names. We said it once. We understand that. When we say that, when we say Allama Adama al-asma'a, we understand we're saying he taught Adam the names, all the names. Now we're going to add kullaha, all of them. We're going to say it as though we're saying it twice. This gives it the emphasis in terms of ta'kid. You're going to say it twice. And saying it twice, you see this word kullu, all, and kulliya, universal. Universalizing emphasis. That's the function of kullu. When we're using kulla, putting it in the accusative. Kullaha. A universal emphasis. Indicating comprehensive teaching of names. Entities, attributes, and functions. All of them. Kullaha, all of it. Supporting the claim that Adam possesses a unique, wide-ranging cognitive capacity that perhaps the angels themselves do not possess. We may see in the spiritual existence where all of this is taking place, Adam being the intellect, that Allah is inspiring. The first intellect that Allah inspires in creating man the second time. Man was created the first time. This human being, we were speaking of yesterday, was existing before Adam. There were people, let's say. Language sometimes gets in the way. But there were people before Adam. We're not to see Adam as the first human being, and then he had this wife, Eve, and then from them, they began to have children and children, and this begins the process of the human population on earth. That's a kindergarten story. If you're reading that literally and froze with it, it's kindergarten. It's for the kindergarten mind. As man matures, we have to put away those things, that type of kindergarten thinking. So Adam is a second creation. And if you read the Bible well enough, you'll see it in Genesis. But the Quran is making it clear. This is the second creation. And when Allah inspires man with revelation, he's creating man all over again. Allama al-Quran. Khalaq al-insan. Allama al-Quran. Khalaq al-insan. Iqra. Iqra is the creation of man all over again. Adam is the first intellect being created to name the forces, even the forces themselves. Entities, attributes, functions, all of this is that intellect. Yes. Then you may understand, because the goal of the intellect is in the earth. So this argument, this discussion, this dialogue that's taking place in the heavens, if you understand, then Allah says, get ye down from here in the earth. That intellect, your place for that intellect is in the earth. I think that's enough to say that. Mentioning Adam before the angels. In this clause is taqdeem ma fihi tashrif. When we're mentioning Adam before the angels, before mentioning the angels, we would say. Not Adam in front of the angels. We say, well, allama Adama, we're mentioning Adam first. Then we'll have the phrase mentioning the angels. So he's saying, Adam is first, then we have the angels mentioned. And this process is called taqdeemul ma fihi tashrif, fronting what carries honor. Fronting that which has honor in it. In it is an honor. It's honor. That's why he's mentioning first. How would it sound if he says, Aradahum alal malaikati faqala anbi'uni biasma'i. Then he said, then he showed the names to the angels. And he said, inform me of the names. They couldn't do it. Then he turns to Adam and says, or he taught Adam the names, all of them. But it's in reverse. He mentioned Adam first. He taught Adam the names, then he turned them to the angels. And the reason it's in this order is because of the honor that Adam carries, rhetorically raising his status as a direct recipient of divine instructions. This is Adam, the first intellect that receives divine instructions in the form of science. ثم أردهم على الملائكة. So now, here's another particle again, thumma. We've had this particle. This is a conjunction. Thumma, it indicates taratib, sequence, ma'a tarakhin, with distancing, with distance. Sequence with relative distancing. Again, there's time, distance between the phrase that comes before and the phrase that comes after. Thumma, there's time in between. Marking a new stage after equipping Adam with knowledge. There is now a public demonstration in the heavens of that knowledge before the angels. So, not only, some scholars will say, does Adam name objects and things, Adam also named the forces, give names to the forces. The pronoun in aradahum, the pronoun whom, returning to the name things. Aradahum meaning he presented them, he showed them, he exposed them. Rather than being repeated explicitly, saying arada esma. We're using the pronoun. What's the function of using this pronoun? It's called ijazu el hadfi bid-damiri. Elliptical brevity. It's an elliptical brevity. The brevity of dropping. Ijazul hadfi, of dropping by the use of the pronoun. Bid-damiri. Establishing brevity by the use of the pronoun. Keeping attention on the act of arada, display itself. So this is something to learn. Here is when Allah uses the pronoun instead of the noun, the emphasis, the attention, the focus is on the display of the name. This display, not on the names per se, but it's focusing on the display, while relying on context to specify what is shown. In the context, whom could go back to names, or whom could go back to the angels, the names upon the angels. Because he's going to say, Aradahum alal malaikati. It could be Aradahum alal malaikati, meaning the names that he has placed on the angels. He taught Adam their names, and they didn't know their own names. What they knew is that what knowledge they had themselves in terms of functioning. That's why they could only do what they were created to do, but they didn't know the names of their functions. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I hope I'm not getting confused here. If so, let's ask questions and see if we can straighten it out. Because here, we're saying the entity, because each angels are forces in nature. So each force is a certain entity. And each force, their attributes. Each angel have a certain entity of function, attributes, and their function. Adam can name them by the entity, the attribute, and the function, the angel. And sometimes man has given these forces today. Adam continued to name things today as he learns the function of these forces. And as we have discussed in the class before, sometimes he gives them his name. Some names are given, especially when we read Quran. Names are given according to their nature and function of that thing. It's in the name. But in English, you may have a name, but that name does not indicate the function of that thing. You may have to learn the thing separately from the function. For example, we talked about how electricity is a force. We see this force in creation. We see this force. When there's a balancing act going on between the heavens and the earth, there's a force that we see between, and it becomes light. We give it a name. We call it light, lightning. We give it a force. Now, when that's the entity. Now, as we learn about this force and understand the function of this force, we will call it voltage. But voltage is the name of the person who studied the function. He gave the thing his name. Perhaps he doesn't know the name of the force. So he gives the force his own name. His name was voltage. So he gave that force that name. But Adam, knowing the science, we're talking science, he could give the angels even their name. We're naming them. Cold. We say cold. We say hot. We say chill. These are forces, invisible forces, that once we learn these forces and understand these forces and the function of these forces, we give it name. Temperature. These are names to forces, unseen forces. That at one time we would call them angels, but once we give them, we understand them, then we name them, and we no longer call them angels, we call them by their names. Yes. And the angels are to aid man. And all of these forces, that once we learn their function and how they relate to man in creation and how they can become a unity, a use for man, these angels, they work for man. They aid man. We can see it on this level. These forces, wind, it's a force, invisible force. We give it a name, wind. And this wind, this angel called wind, he aids man in the establishment of civilizations of man. Civilizations upon civilizations. This Khalifa, they all began to submit to this Khalifa. Yes. So now we've given this force Khalifa a name. Khalifa is a force. We're going to give Khalifa a name, Adam. That's the name we're giving this Khalifa, Adam. And this Khalifa is in everyone. Everyone had the potential of Adam. Yes. And yes. I'm going to stop. I could keep going. I'm going to stop here. Now, where are we at? The prepositional phrase. So we have the pronoun. We use a pronoun sometimes. We want to keep the emphasis. We want to put the emphasis on the thing the pronoun is attached to. The attention on that. So the prepositional phrase, that's a function of the pronoun. Understand that? That's a function of the pronoun. The prepositional phrase, ala el-malaikati, signals ta'liqu el-aradi bi mahalli el-intilai, the attachment of the display, arada, the showing, the display, to the locus. I left this word here to use, locus, mahalli, and you know the word mahalli. Fi mahalli, bi mahalli, by the placing of, in the place of the testing that's taking place. The angels are being tested, showing that the angels who had questioned are now the direct audience of evidence for Adam's superiority in this spiritual ontological domain, existential domain. Now they're being, this is alel malaikati. This is the function now of the alel. And they could become the direct audience of evidence because the names is being placed on them, being questioned about their names. فَقَالَ أَنْبِئُونِي بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاءِ. The particle fa in فَقَالَ. This particle fa. We've learned different functions of the fa. And here is fa'u tafri'u. Fa'u tafri'u. The fa of logical consequence. We had this fa before. The fa of consequence. Making the divine command to answer a direct outgrowth of the demonstration. As if saying, since the consequence, since the objects are now before you, the things are now before you, even the abstract things, all of this is in the abstract taking place, are before you, now respond. So without going through it, think of all the things in the abstract that's in the sky of man's head. All the forces that's existing that we have given names to. They're placed before them. What's this one's name? That one? That force there is called memory. What's this one's name? This force here is called imagination. What is this over here? That's emotion. What is this over here? What is this over here? Yes. Now, go down to the earth. The imperative and the uni, the command. Let's use the word command. You know command. Make it easy for you. And the uni is used as amru ta'jiz. Amru, the command of ta'jiz, of challenging. This command is a command for used as a form of challenge, not merely pedagogical request. It exposes their incapacity to produce what they implicitly claimed by their earlier question. So this and Mu'uni is challenging. It's not just commanding them, but within the command there's a challenge. The prepositional phrase be asma'i, rather than inform me about these, directly is ta'liqul imba'i bil wasitati. Attaching the informing al-inbiya'i to the specific, according to or by way of the specific medium. The specific medium biwasitati of names. Thus focusing on the precise kind of knowledge under discussion, articulate and conceptual. When this prepositional phrase is used, be asma'i, let's go back. Yes. You may look in the dictionary, you will see naba'abi, this preposition. Grammatically, it's used, it's attached to, it's associated with anbihu, the preposition be, even though it governs the word asma, because it to end in the genitive, the kasra. But it's not, it's associated with anbihu. This be associated with anbihu. The function of its association now. Grammatically, that's what I'm showing grammatically. But the functioning of this be is to attach the informing with the medium of which we're saying names in terms of articulating and conceptualizing in the labeling. Not only are we to articulate, but we're also able to conceptualize the functioning of the names. So the name is really a medium between the intellect and the thing itself in terms of its nature. That's what the name is. And most of the time we want to give the name and that indicates the functioning. It serves as the medium. Because the angels see these things functioning. The angels see the human beings functioning, and what they saw was what? They saw a creature who would bring about corruption and bloodshed. That's what they saw. That's the only knowledge that they had of this creature. That's all they saw. But they didn't see the intellect that could be inspired in this creature. Once this becomes available to them, but they don't know that name. They don't know all the names. So they don't know that name, and perhaps they see each other functioning, but they don't know their name. They see Iblis functioning, but perhaps they didn't know his name. There was no name they were given to these functionings, to these things in nature. They were not names they were given to them to show that they had the knowledge of the interfunction of these things with each other. Today, we know the name, but we don't know their function. We've been given the name, but we don't know the function. The demonstrative ha'ulai. This is a demonstrative ha'ulai. Is a ismul ishara. It's a demonstrative noun. Ha'ulai. These. You're pointing to something. Ishara is to point. It's a ismul isharatin. Lit tahqiri, for belittlement. That's the function here in this verse. Be itmari arradiyi, with an base or ignoble implied referent. That's the use of ha'ulai. Tembi'uni bi asma'i, these, and for me bi asma'i, these. In kuntum sadiqin. This phrase, the conditional in now. In, this in is a conditional particle. In kuntum sadiqin is a sharatum, a condition. Lit tawbihi, for reproach. This is reproach, for reproach. Wa tanbihi, and excitation, or we could say alerting. In kuntum sadiqin, meaning if your prior inference about vicegerency and your implied superiority were sound, you would now be able to substantiate it. So if we go back, now we can support the idea when we're saying ismu isharatu lit tahqiri is these. The belittlement is the angels are being belittled because of them attempting to show their superiority to this creature. It's implied. It's implied to them, returning to them, raddi, going back to them. These, haulai, goes back. It's like a pronoun being used because it's a demonstrative noun, though it's pointing, it's coming back to the angels. These right here suddenly points back to what they had not foreseen in themselves, that the very beings they feared would become the basis of Adam's distinction. But we could also see it as them thinking they're superior to Adam does not see what will distinguish Adam from them, where they are no longer superior. In the Quran, the human being is placed above the angels. Perhaps in scripture before, in religion taught before, you would see the angels above the human being. But here, Allah is placing the human being above the angels. With this ha'ulai, these, right here. The predicate, sadiqin. The predicate of kuntum. In kuntum, if, and this is a condition, right? Now, when you have a condition, you expect a response to the condition. But it says, in kuntum sadiqin. Okay, this sadiqin is the predicate of kuntum. You is the hidden noun of kuntum. Kuntum is kana conjugated. For those early in the grammar, it's kana conjugated, and kana has a predicate, not an object. It's the predicate. It's sadiqin. But it's also, we're saying, a conditional. It's a conditional phrase. There should be a response to the condition. If you are truthful, then such and such. But this is the end of the verse. So let's go back to the verse. This is Tali. We could go back and forth. It says, in kuntum, this is the phrase. In kuntum sadiqin. Okay, let's look at it. Let's see what comes up. So this predicate is left general without specifying in your claim of being more deserving, which is إجمال في مقام التوبيخ, a deliberate generality in a reproachful context. In kuntum sadiqin, widening the implication to encompass the whole attitude behind their earlier question. Placing the clause in kuntum sadiqin, or I would rather say, let's keep it, replacing the phrase. That keeps it easy for us in the beginning. In kuntum sadiqin, after the command, rather than before it. So what are we doing here? It's another form of taqdeem. The response, the response is coming before the condition. Let's finish and then I will show you. It's called ta'khiru ash-sharti. You're delaying the condition. Li ziyadati at-tarakku, to heighten anticipation. First confronted them with the impossible task, then tying their truthfulness to its fulfillment. So let's go back. Then it would be understood it would say, in kuntum sadikina and bi'uni bi asma'i. If you are truthful, then name, inform me of the names. Inform me of these. If you are truthful, but pardon me, you have this first, but in kuntum sadiqin, if you are truthful, then name them. Then what are their names? But this is coming after the response. It's like you're having a response before you have the condition. If you are truthful, then inform me of the names. What does it do? What's the function of this type of taqdeem? Or we could say, inform me. If you inform me of the names, then you are truthful. If you inform me, then you are truthful. But instead of that, the Quran, it flips the words around. And the reason it flips it around is given in this reading is to heighten the anticipation. Confronting them first, then with the impossible task, because they can't do it. Then tying their truthfulness to its fulfillment. If you can do it, do it. But knowing they can't do it. The overall al-Ma'ani trajectory. The shift from merely asserting divine knowledge in the 230, the verse we did yesterday, to narrating concrete teaching and testing in 231 is an instance of al-intiqalu min al-ijmali, the transitioning of generality ila to at-tafsili, to detail. We were going from the generality to detail, turning an abstract claim, I know, into an enacted proof now. When Allah says, I know, but you do not know, that's what He knows is a general statement. Now it's turned into detail more specific. in terms of the names. The interaction among Adam, the name realities. So these names, these spiritual realities, existence, all these spiritual existence, that's where it's taking place. And the angels embodies husnu et talahum, the excellence of cohesion. Baina, between context el-maqami wal-maqali, and utterance, what you are saying, utterance, what's being said. The very domain of dispute. The very name of dispute. Who is more suited for vicegerency is resolved by a form of knowledge that only Adam displays, without any explicit polemical statement. The comment. The moral force, energy, being, or intellect. Adam. The moral force. Adam is a moral force, an energy. A force is an energy, a being, or intellect. This is Adam, formed and shaped to be expressed through material substances, was endowed with knowledge about the characteristics, properties, and purposes of all created things and their benefits and harms. When presented to the angelic forces, they could observe the human composition and its unique role in divine revelation. This may be a typo. Yes, they could afterwards. This situation served as a test, highlighting the distinction between human knowledge and angelic understanding. Once it showed to them, they could observe it, because showing them, it could be observed. Yes. I'm writing this for the book. I have to make corrections. I'm kind of proofreading as I go. Human sensory perceptions in the study of the universe lead to diverse types of knowledge and sciences. Due to their unique composition, humans not only possess the ability to define various sciences, but also to name the forces found in nature. This human composition, referred to as Adam, this human intellect, we could say, is referred to as Adam, that have these abilities that we've been talking about, exist in all of us. So this Khalifa, because that's where we start out, speaking of Khalifa, now we're going to imply that Adam is this Khalifa. But Adam is not an individual per se. What Adam is for all of us. Exists in all of us. Just like in the characterization of Ibrahim Ibrahim is not an individual, we say. Ibrahim is a community. Adam is a humanity. He exists. This Adam is in all of us. All of us are Adam. Male and female are Adam. And no one rises or is resurrected in their intellect except on the pattern of Adam. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And that concludes our presentation for today. Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak.